The Purdue Boilermakers just 3 years removed from playing in the Big Ten championship game, but the bottom really dropped out last year. Tied a school record with 11 losses, including the two most lopsided defeats in school history. Led to a coaching change, now trying to get things back on track in 2025. Welcome into West Lafayette. Dave Revsine, Howard Griffith, Gerry, DiNardo. Guys, we're going to see a scrimmage here today, and I think we are all curious to know exactly what we're going to see. It's pretty amazing. 119 players in camp. 82 of them are new.
Yeah, it's amazing the turnover that they've had when you talk about the recent success of playing in the Big Ten championship only a couple of years ago. But this is a team that has been redefined. We're going to see a lot of different players that are going to be fighting for different positions, and I think that's why this will probably end up being one of the longest scrimmages.
You know, obviously, Barry Odom, this is his third head coaching job, right? He was at Missouri, he was at UNLV. They've only had one pad practice, and yet they're going to scrimmage long and hard today. Yeah. And I think that speaks to Coach Odom's veteran coach background, right? I mean, he can't wait to do a bunch of practices and see who's a contact player, see who the best players are, see what quarterback can throw under duress. So this is a real veteran move. It's a really unusual move. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever heard of a coach having a long scrimmage after one padded practice, but nowadays football, with all the changeover in the program and new players and the new roster, it sounds like it's the perfect thing to do.
Yeah, it just feels like they're in a position when they have to figure out who can play
quickly.
Right? I mean, you have to do it quickly. So Barry Odom, a defensive coach. It's interesting. It's the second straight defensive head coach that Purdue has hired. They had 6 straight offensive hires. He's the second straight defensive coach. How do you think that imprint might show up on this scrimmage? Well,
I think one of the things we're going to have to find out who those defensive players are that are going to be able to step up. If you start to think about defenses in its totality, you want to be able to slow people down. And normally defenses usually are ahead, particularly in camp. And maybe this is going to be a team that's going to lean more on defense and special teams, at least until they can figure out what they want to do offensively and who those players are going to be to step up.
Yeah, but there's so much to do. I see Coach Odom being more of a CEO. You know, we talked to him at media days. You know, is a defensive coach, and if he leans one way, he leans defensively. But he doesn't do much of that. I mean, the value of someone like him, third head coaching job with a program, as you described, Rever, that not too long ago had a lot of success. And, you know, he can put this thing together pretty quickly. The problem is he has one of the most difficult schedules in the country that they're getting ready to play.
Yeah, pretty challenging, including Notre Dame in the non-conference in addition to the Big Ten schedule. Obviously, we're always going to be interested to see what the quarterback situation looks like. Ryan Brown transferred out, transferred back, so he is a familiar face. Malachi Singleton coming in as well. But again, I just come into this thinking your guess is as good as ours. I mean, who knows what we're going to see. I'm as fascinated as anyone to see what these next few hours hold.
And history has told us as we go through these camp tours for 19 years and we see some of these quarterback battles and we try to figure out who's going to be the ultimate starter. This is a process. This is a process, particularly when you have so many new faces here. What is the leadership like behind the scenes? Not just being able to compete out on the field, but what are they able to do to bring the rest of the team along with them?
One of the most difficult decisions to make is your starting quarterback. And when you scrimmage, they're not usually live. And so sometimes you come out of camp thinking that this might be the best quarterback, and then when you're in a game and obviously you have the possibility of being sacked, things could change. So it's even harder to pick a starting quarterback on a day like today because no matter how many plays they run, I doubt the quarterback's going to be live.
Oh, we will see. Again, it's going to be a really interesting few hours here, a program with the most incoming transfers in the country getting set to sort things out. Just one returning starter at Purdue. In fairness, he is an awfully good one. Devin Mockobee shooting to become the first player ever to lead the Boilers in rushing 4 straight seasons. Averaged 5 yards per carry, scored 4 TDs a year ago. A key piece for new offensive coordinator Josh Henson. Mockobee and offensive lineman Jalen St. John with Howard.
It seems like only yesterday you were getting that scholarship. What does it feel like to be at this particular point right now in your career?
I mean, it's an absolute blessing, you know, being able to come out this way and then be able to stay healthy and get this far. I mean, it's been lovely to see, and, you know, I got nothing but blessings.
Yeah. What's it been like transitioning here?
It's been a great transition, you know. Guys like Mock, guys that's been there, Mock, CJ, you know, they all just brought us in and told us, like, we're going to get right or get left. So it's been a great experience so far.
What's it been like on the field as far as learning a new scheme, coming into a new scheme? I know a lot of the younger guys are probably trying to pick your brain to see what exactly they need to be doing to be efficient in this offense.
You know, you got guys like Keys, Mark Nave, Tyrell Green, Ethan. It's just a lot of guys just trying to pick me, you know, and that's cool because when I was coming up, I didn't have that. So I want them to ask me questions. I want everything, you know, because I want to get all of this right. I feel like it's a big year, and I feel like we all coming along slowly but surely.
Tell me about how your major really affected the way you stayed here, because I'm sure you had many opportunities, people knocking at your door, but you still wanted to finish your business and get your degree here.
Yeah, my mechanical engineering degree, it's absolutely pertinent for me because, I mean, coming out of high school into college, I mean, that's the number one goal is to try and go get your degree. So it's been lovely to try and get, and it's been a work in progress, and it's finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel to go get it.
Did you know you were going to be this outstanding football player? You knew you wanted to get your degree. So were you leaning more because, hey, this is what Purdue can do for me and from an academic standpoint, and if I'm able to play football, I'll do that too? Was there one that was weighing more than the other? I
mean, yeah, the way that you phrase that's pretty much exactly it. Coming in as a walk-on, you know, you never know how things are going to go your way. I mean, you fight every day to try and get up that depth chart, but, you know, coming in as a walk-on and paying my way, you know, I was trying to get that mechanical engineering because I knew that was going to carry me farther than anything else, you know. So I think that was definitely part of my decision first off, but being able to play ball and raise myself through the levels is definitely a plus on that. Yeah.
One of the things it's always hard for a team is when there's so many guys from so many different places. But when you have an offensive line, that's a group that is really tight, probably the tightest always on a team. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to become that unit that you need to be?
Man, every day after practice, we get in the film room 12:30. Right before walkthroughs and anything like that, we asking each other, hey, you know this, you know what you got on this, you know, just making sure everybody on point because we all got to be on point. So I just feel like it's the little things. Like we wake up at 5:55. Go to breakfast. Everything we do is together. It's not no one-man show. Everything we do is together. You're either going to get right or get left.
Tell me about this quarterback battle that you get an opportunity to watch. I'm not asking you to pick one now. I just want you to tell me about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition in the room. You know, you got different types of guys in there, but all fighting for the same thing. So it's good to have that sort of competition because it raises the level of all of them. So, I mean, it's a good battle. I'm glad to see how it's going to pan out.
Yeah, and you got some, not that it's a battle, but you have some experience and some athleticism in your room as well. You need more than one back, and it looks like you guys have a couple other guys that are going to be able to step in and help you guys as well.
Yeah, we got a nice deep room between Malachi, Antonio Harris, Jerron, Jaheim, all of the guys we have in the room right now. They're all really athletic guys, really want to get to the ball and run, get downhill and get those extra yards. So it's lovely to see. I don't know if I've been back this deep before.
It's always fun to watch the O-line, D-line compete, particularly whether it's inside run or whether it's pass rush. How have you guys been working to get better?
Man, every day we just attack it. I know that it ain't easy, so I'm pushing the other guy in front of him like, hey, let's go, Chops. Let's go, Miko. Let's go, TJ. Let's go, CJ. Like, when it's inside, it's on. Like, Manny, it's on. And we know that. So we just trying to get better every day fundamentally and just play fundamental football.
A couple of keys for success for this offense to stay on schedule this year would be?
I'd say execution is going to be your number one deal, having every guy on the field completing their assignments to a T. I mean, that's going to be pertinent for everybody. You can't have plays if you don't have everybody doing exactly what they have to do.
Well, guys, I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you.
Have a great year.
Barry Odom taking over as the head coach in West Lafayette. His second Power Conference head coaching job was an even 500 in 4 years at his alma mater of Missouri. Really shined, though, the last couple seasons at UNLV, finishing in the top 2 in the Mountain West both years. Their 11 wins last season were the most as an FBS program, though he did not coach in the bowl game. And head coach Barry Odom joining me now. And Coach, You take over a program, you were telling me the first team meeting you had fewer than 40 guys there. So, I mean, part of the challenge is just filling out a roster to get started. Aside from that, what did you see as the biggest priorities for you when you took over?
Yeah, I think you look a number of different levels to look at it. Number one, excited when the opportunity presented itself because of the great history here at Purdue. Along with, the years of Tiller and all the success he had, all the quarterbacks and the defensive ends over the years, playing in Ross-Ade Stadium. I'd played there as a visiting coach before, so I knew this place had success 3 years ago in the Big Ten championship game. So there are a lot of things that excited me about the opportunity. Leadership of our athletics director, all those things. You step into the job, and they had a tough year last year, obviously. The roster had really kind of been completed at that point. The guys that were still here in the first team meeting, I challenged them all, wanted them all to stay, and just to try to get the foundation built strongly. You get the organization together, give me a chance, give me an opportunity. And our staff did a great job on putting the pieces together for this first year, the guys that stayed. You could feel and sense there was really craving for structure and discipline, and they were ready to get started. We've made a lot of progress in 7 months, and we got a long ways to go, but we're excited about who we have here.
Where do you think you made the most progress?
Yeah, I think you look at just organizational structure you look at from recruiting to the strength staff, food and nutrition, sports medicine, all the different pieces that are in place. There's vision, there's alignment. They have done a great job, but then also recruiting-wise, our team is really starting to take over and establish really the core DNA of who they are. I've seen that. They've got ownership in it. We made progress through spring ball. The guys that we had through summer workouts and some of the player-led things, really exciting to see the work that they put in. We won't spend any time talking about last year. It doesn't do anyone any good. So they're hungry to get started, and now through 8 days of practice, we're moving in the right direction.
You have the most incoming transfers in the country. Again, part of that was by necessity, but you got to sell them on something. So what's your sales pitch? What do you say this program's going to be about?
I think you always look a little bit about your past and the experiences that you've been through, the good and the bad, and you learn from those, you put them into play. But hope, vision, and belief, the opportunity that you're going to get an education from one of the greatest schools in the country. You're in the Big Ten Conference. You got an opportunity to compete and play, and I'm not saying this arrogantly, but just as a staff, we feel very confident in the blueprint that we've got together, and we're going to go win games.
Well, some guys who know that blueprint are the players who came with you from UNLV. You brought 8 players with you. How important is that in terms of continuity, setting the foundation, and helping other players here understand what the staff's all about?
Yeah, I believe strongly about that. You need to look at the 2-year run we had there and 20 wins, and some of the great players we had an opportunity to coach. There are 8 or 9 of those guys followed us here, and that's always a delicate situation. But I'm excited about those 8. They can speak the language in the locker room. They know what a Monday practice is going to look like. Yeah. I can tell the team in a team meeting and all those situations. But the more voices that we have that understand really what that is going to look like, the standard and the expectations, they've done a tremendous job. You
got a quarterback battle going on. There are a number of guys competing. It seems like maybe Ryan Brown and Malachi Singleton, at least from our watching, have separated a little bit. Give me a sense of the skill set of those two and how you'll make a decision.
Yeah, I think really a combination of those two you mentioned. Evans Chuba made progress today. Bennett Meredith continues to do some really good things. So we're not ready to make that determination yet. I don't want to rush into it, but I also understand how important it is time-wise to get the quarterback settled where the one offense can go to work together. We're rotating so many guys in up front, skill position-wise, and then certainly the quarterback. So they've got to be effective in running the offense. They've got to show great leadership. They've got to take care of the football. And then physically, it's not really going to change whoever the quarterback is. We're not going to have to change the playbook because we're always going to have designed elements of quarterback run game in there, and we feel like we've got a room that can go do that.
You have one starter back. But he's a pretty important starter. Devin Mockobee's been such a solid part of this program here for the last 3 years. How important is he as you look to build a foundation?
Yeah, if you look at the transfers that came in, we've got a lot of starters that are returning, just not here.
Yeah.
Devin is older, obviously tons of experience. His leadership has risen to the top. He cares about Purdue. He's going to be a mechanical engineer graduate very, very soon. He's worked so hard to get that. But when he speaks and the way he works in the weight room, in the locker room, out on the field, we can win with guys like Mockobee.
What made Josh Henson the right guy to run your offense?
Yeah, Coach and I worked together. I've known him forever, but we worked together at Missouri, and he had really good success there as the offensive coordinator. And then he spent time LSU, Texas A&M, most recent USC, and I think it helped a little bit knowing the league, even though it was 1 year in, familiar with that. I've seen him work. I've seen, every day of working together when he was the offensive coordinator at Missouri, just the way he ran the offense, the way he structured meetings, the teaching, his football knowledge and IQ, it's exactly what we needed.
You built a great defense at UNLV, and Mike Scherer was the architect of it along with you. Give us a sense for Purdue fans of kind of what that defense hangs its hat on.
Yeah, I think really Mike's done a great job in the coordinator role, and I've known him for a long time as well, recruited him, coached him, and then I've had a chance now to work with him for a number of times at Missouri, Arkansas, and then UNLV. And here, he continues to get better. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. His idea of piecing together a defense on the strengths that we have, we're going to be aggressive, but not in a position that puts us out of position. We've got to do a great job of being multiple in our looks and what we're trying to get accomplished with pre-snap looks. And then really at the end of the day on defense, you've got to eliminate big plays. You've got to be able to stop the run. You got to find a way to get the ball back.
Final question, biggest priorities between now and the end of camp?
Yeah, we've got so few days. I mean, you look at it when you start, and the urgency of getting game ready. And then how many of the 119 guys can we get game ready to go play with winning habits? So it's a sprint with no finish line, and our staff understands the responsibility we have to get that done.
Well, Coach, really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun watching you guys go through the scrimmage today. Thanks for hosting us.
Thank you.
Barry Odom's UNLV team had an excellent defense last year with Mike Scherer running that unit. Gave up a touchdown less per game than the season before. Both the scoring D and the rushing D led the Mountain West. In fact, every stat you see here was in the top 2 in the conference. Scherer now in charge of the D at Purdue. He is with Gerry.
Coach, I asked Coach Henson the same question, but you might be even a better expert. We're all trying to get to know Coach Odom. You played for him. You've coached for him. Tell us about him as a person and tell us about him as a coach.
Yeah, well, I met him, I think I was about 12, 13 years old. I actually, about 8th grade is when I first met him, got to meet him. And since then, he's been, when I was a player, he's like a father figure. And now in my life and working for him, he's a mentor. And he's a great leader of men. He's a great man himself. And, he puts his all into this team, and he puts his all into the people that work for him. And I follow him everywhere.
How would you describe your defense?
We're multiple, and we're built to attack. We got a lot of pressures, a lot of blitzes, and we do it a lot with our eyes on the quarterback because we want our defense to be able to run to the football. So we put an emphasis on effort, on running the football and playing fast and attacking. A lot of different moving parts to it.
How close are you to having the starting 11?
I think we got a ways to go. I think we're getting closer every day. As camp goes, people get nicked and things change. But I think after another week in camp, we'll probably have a good idea who, the next 11 are. And then we got to figure out who the 11 after them are. So we're still a little bit of ways, but we got a lot of camp left to go.
Depth at the position you feel the best about and depth that you're most concerned about?
Well, I'm selfish. So I coach linebackers, and I have no choice but to love linebackers. So I love where we're at in that room right now. We don't have a lot of experience, but we got a lot of talent. And then I think you can go across the defensive side of the ball. I think the D tackles have really come along. We've gotten some new ones in the transfer portal, and some guys that have been here have really stepped up and started to play really well. You can say the same about the defensive ends. We've really got a lot of those guys that we brought in who have really stepped up, and then there's a few guys that have been here that have stepped up. So, and then you could carry on the defensive backs and corners. I think we do have a lot of really talented corners that could go out and play for us right now. So
mention some of those guys that you're talking about.
Okay, you got Tony Grimes came with us from UNLV. Okay. He's a leader on the back end, and then you got a guy like Taj Rael, who's at safety. He's a leader there too. So then after him, you got guys like Ryan Turner, Handori Hines, Khalil Cummings. All guys that are going out there every day and trying to compete for a corner spot. And that competition, T.D. Williams, that competition has really, elevated all those guys' game to play at a higher level every day.
Long scrimmage today, how'd it go?
I thought it was great because we have a lot we can learn from, a lot we can teach off of, and we can create better football players. So I think the guys played hard today. It didn't always look great. Some good plays, some bad plays, some explosive plays, some plays in the backfield, right? So good, but I'm happy because we have a whole lot to teach from.
As you get ready for the season, as you've studied some of the Big Ten teams, what jumps out at you about the conference?
They're big and physical. I got to spend some time in the SEC, whether as a player or as a coach, a long period of time, really. And so I've seen that before. And then, I went out to the Mountain West. The size changes a little bit. Then you get back in here and you're like, some big old people. And then you look around at the league, you start watching film, and, those offensive and defensive linemen, those are big humans in there. And it's a big physical league.
Purdue has one of the most difficult schedules, probably, certainly in the conference and maybe in the country. Does that change the way you go about camp or the way you approach the season?
No, sir. I think it's awesome. I can't wait for it. And I think our players can't wait for the challenge. But that's what we want. That's what we signed up for. That's what we came here for. Previous plays when I was at Arkansas, they told us every year we had the hardest schedule in the country, not just the conference, in the country. So we love it.
What's left undone on defense?
We got a lot to still install. We're only a week and a half, 2 weeks into camp here. We still got a lot that we're trying to teach these guys and install. And then, we got to sharpen up everything we're doing. Make sure these guys know their responsibilities, know their jobs, so come game day, there's no mental errors. If we don't beat ourselves, we'd be pretty good.
When you look at your front, which is going to get attacked pretty much in this conference, you more likely to move them or more likely to keep them in the gap?
We're going to do it all. We're going to do it all. A lot of moving, a lot of staying in the gap. It just depends on the down, what the down calls for. And then you got to look at matchups as well across that offensive, defensive line. Maybe you like a matchup. You don't want a guy stunting moving when you like that matchup. So it's a matchup game up there, and, it will be a lot of both.
Appreciate your time, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
With literally 0 starters back on the defense from last year, the Newcomers are the story here by default, and they got some pretty good ones. Tony Grimes and Hershey McLaurin in the secondary, both with power conference experience. C.J. Nunnally finished at the top 10 in the MAC in sacks, while linebacker Sanders Ellis was a finalist for the Gerry Rice Award, given to the top freshman in FCS. Like most of this program, you're kind of starting from scratch here. I mean, literally not a single returning starter from a year ago. Entirely new staff, which means a new defensive coordinator. You have the familiarity with Mike Scherer and Barry Odom. What did you think just in terms of schematically what this is going to look like?
Yeah, before we go to schematically, first of all, much more energy, I thought, with Mike Scherer's defensive unit than the offensive unit. I thought they were really into the scrimmage more so than the offense. So the issue becomes they're not real big and strong. You have to build a front when you're rebuilding a program. So the issue becomes how you blend in static defense and moving. If you play static, then you've got to hope that you can hold up. If you move, veer and slant, and the offensive linemen in this conference get on you, there's going to be a huge gap. So Coach Scheer's just going to have to figure that out. I think when you're building a program as big a rebuild as this is, defense should be conservative, give ground grudgingly, I would not bring a lot of pressure. I'd try to protect the offense as much as I could by keeping them off the field and let them execute when they get on the field.
Yeah, and when you talk about slanting up front, from the defensive line standpoint, that means your linebackers have to be there to clean things up, and they also have to be able to read, say, if they are overwhelmed up front on a particular play, they have to be able to make those adjustments that are needed. But they have athletic guys. The question is just how much depth can they develop, and who are they going to be able to count on? Because one thing we know, you've got to have depth in this league, particularly on the defensive side, because these offensive lines are just so big and they want to grind the ball out. You're going to have to be able to rotate guys through.
Was there a particular unit that stood out to you guys on the defensive side?
If I had to pick who I thought had the best day, I might say the back end.
They were really challenging the football today. Really got their hands on the ball, came up with some good plays, some tip balls that were there. And again, when you talk about the offense coming along, you need a defense, as you talk about, forcing offenses to go the long way, but also being able to come up with those picks. And what's going to be important, the other best friend of this defense is going to be able to have special teams that is solid. These are some areas, another area where they have to be perfect in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, Coach Scheer's been with Coach Odom. Yeah. So, that really helps the transition.
You were talking about the energy. How do you gauge the energy? Like what stood out there?
I thought the sidelines, when the defense did some good things, was really into it. I thought they came onto the field with more authority. I just thought there was more energy on the defensive side than the offensive side.
Yeah, I think when you look at it from the offensive side, there's a lot of thinking that's going on. And defensively, you're able to really react. You talk about a first scrimmage, so they're able to go fly around, do what they need to do. Offensively, sometimes when you don't know exactly everything that's going on, you're hesitant. And when you're hesitant, you're not playing as fast and you're not as excited about being there.
Yeah, one thing is for sure, we saw a ton of guys out there. Barry Odom emphasized he was going to get everyone reps, and we saw a ton of players rotate through. I'm not sure we're going to keep track of them all, but we saw a lot of guys come through both sides of the ball.
That's it, get on top.
Back in West Lafayette as Purdue prepares for 2025. As we mentioned, the defense needs to be completely overhauled. We're the worst power conference scoring defense in the nation. New faces all over the place, but certainly helps to follow that model of Indiana last year and bring in players you are familiar with. 8 incoming players from UNLV, including a couple expected to be among the better players on the D. Tony Grimes and Manny Powell with Howard.
First big scrimmage today, a long scrimmage. How did things go?
Things went well. We figured what our teams need to get better, what we need to do to improve. And we also seen some great things out of our players, especially the second team and the third team as well.
What are some of the things that you want to get out of these scrimmages when you go to get out there?
Of course, we want to see the things that we could work on. That's the main thing. The things that we're good at is good to see, and just know that it's one of our strong suits or whatever. And then the stuff that's critical to fix, we want to be intentional about seeing it and being able to talk about it and correct it,
How about from a leadership role? With so many new players on this roster, offense, defense, what becomes your role?
Just being able to effectively talk and let them know how and what's going on and how we can fix it, how we have to attack each thing, and just showing them how to do it, being the first one to step up and try to make the correction.
About with you?
My role as a leader, bring the energy. As DV, especially as a defensive back, you got to have energy on the field. So I think I bring the energy as a leader, and also I lead by example. I do the right things the right way. I also help my young cats that just got in here and stuff like that. So that's how I'll be able to be a good leader.
What's it been like having guys trying to pick your brain about, what things are going to be like? What is Coach talking about?
Feels good. It makes me feel special and old at the same time.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I've been around the block a few times, but I love it. I'm glad they're picking my brain. I'm glad they think that I'm smart and they're looking up to me and that I know football, which I do. So, yes.
What are some of the things that you can bring to the team as far as your leadership skills from your past?
Just being vocal, being loud, bringing the energy. Like he said, I know that I could be a little crazy out there on the field, and that's just the nature you got to bring when you're trying to have guys walking behind you and you being the leader. I think that I can effectively talk to people, like I said, and it's just special to be able to have ears that's willing to open up and listen to you when you have something to say. So I just take that and try to run with what I can to let them know everything that I can when I can, you know.
What are kind of some of the keys for this defense to be effective and to take the football away?
The keys to be effective, we got to run and hit. Like, that's what we really hang our hats on, is run and hit. We got to be the most physical, the most violent defense out there. And after that, they don't want to run the ball no more, so they put the ball in the air. And that's how with DVs we make our turnovers.
Talk about getting after the quarterback.
Yes, sir.
What's that look like?
Just being great attackers, you know, letting them know that we're here and we're going to come after them and, you know, getting them off their spot. Just letting them know that they can't be comfortable where they like to be comfortable at. They're going to have to win uncomfortably when they play us, and that's the main thing we want to represent. And being fast, being physical, like he said, and just flying to the ball, because that's what we want.
Being a guy that gets an opportunity to not only look at the receivers, but also the quarterbacks. You got a quarterback battle going on. I'm not asking you to pick one, but tell me who your favorite is at this point, because your favorite might just want to throw the ball to you. Probably would be your answer. Mm-hmm. But tell us a little bit about how this wide receiver group is coming along, and what are you seeing out of these quarterbacks?
This wide receiver group is amazing. I'm saying this right now. Omar Branch and Mike Jack, them two right there is going to be a great 1-2 combo. And then we also got other receivers as well that we're going to throw the ball to and get touches as well. But our receiver core is amazing. This is one of the best receiver cores I've seen been in college football.
Okay. Let's just talk about being successful, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me what's going to make this a successful season for you, not only personally, but also from a team aspect.
Habits, togetherness is going to be important for us to lock arms when things get hard. Being able to look adversity in the eyes and take it on whenever it happens, because it will happen. And it's just about understanding that everybody around you is here for you and feeding off the energy that we all bring to each other. And that's going to be the main thing that keep us rolling, keep us, you know, energetic, keep us flying to the ball, keep us making plays. And once we have that just rolling it just becomes us. And that's just that's going to show in our play. And it's just going to be how we are.
Mm-hmm. I know you got some personal goals.
Yes, sir.
You gonna tell me about them, or you gonna hide them?
I'm gonna hide them from right now. But I do got a lot of personal goals that I'm willing and will achieve this year.
Okay, well, sounds good, guys. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Have a great year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Pretty good offensive lineman back in his day at Oklahoma State. Turned into an awfully good coach as well, tutoring 19 draft picks, 3 All-Americans. Spent the last 3 years at USC. They were second in the nation in passing yards in his time there. Was part of a national championship team as the tight ends coach at LSU. He'll continue to tutor the tight ends in West Lafayette in addition to his OC duties. Henson now with Gerry.
Coach, pretty good timing. You were with Coach at Missouri, then you went to USC, getting a scouting report on the Big Ten before you came here. How is the fact that you were in the Big Ten a year ago at SC help you here now?
Well, number one, I have a really healthy respect for the talent in the league. It's my first time in the league. The league is big, it's strong, it's fast, it's physical, and you got to be really good at technique and all the small details to have success, and consistent at that also, as we know, to have success in this league. So obviously you get a feel for schemes and what people like to do and what personalities are, so we'll take some of that into our bank of knowledge as we head into the season. But overall, very helpful heading into the Big Ten this year.
How would you define your scheme?
You know, we're a spread team. We like to run the ball. But the number one, we've got to create explosive plays, and we can't be timid about doing that. And so we've got to find matchups, schemes, moves, shifts, motions, whatever that might be, tempos to put ourselves in position to create explosive plays. And we're going to be aggressive.
Amongst all the things you have to do, you've got to pick a quarterback.
Right.
Talk to us about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're all doing really well. You know, first of all, Malachi Singleton came out of the spring and had a really solid spring and is returning and competing. Was a backup at Arkansas, but got playing time in the SEC last year and won a couple of games. I believe Ole Miss, maybe Tennessee. I don't want to misquote, but Ryan Brown obviously was here, left, went to North Carolina, came back. Evans Chuba is a very talented young guy that came, by way of Canada through Washington State to here. Bennett Meredith is a guy that's been on our roster, man, and he just keeps getting better and better. He just makes routine plays routine, just does things right. And then, of course, Garrett Odom in that room. So we have enough talent in that room to get the job done. It's about being the decision maker on a daily basis, on an every play basis, that one can be aggressive, but the flip side of that, as for a quarterback, is doing it in a way that protects the ball and then also protects our team.
Do you see the quarterbacks similar in style, or do you see some better at passing and obviously some better running?
Well, there are guys that their arm talent is maybe a little bit better than the other, but I don't think any of them are so separated that they cannot win the game throwing the football. And on the flip side of that, really good for us. There are guys better at running it, and they can, in my opinion, win the game and help us win the game with their legs. But they can all do it to a certain extent. Some are better, a little better than others, but they're all capable.
You had a long scrimmage today, second day in pads, and it was a long go today.
Yeah.
Without seeing the tape yet, what are your thoughts about the scrimmage?
You're always chasing consistency, and I thought of anything today. Just there was a few times out there that. You want to make the other team beat you and not beat yourself, whether that's an assignment and a technique, whatever that might be. And, we got to get more consistent. So there were some great things out there today, and there's some things that were pretty ugly, and that just all comes with consistency. And so we have to dial in. We're starting to get to that point now through camp. We're installing a lot, right. And now we're going to start to get that point. We start to dial in, start to put players in positions that they can most effectively use their talent, and then start to repeat those things over and over and over so we can start to get really good at them. But overall, I'm excited because I feel like we've got enough that if we can get really consistent, we can go compete and go win ball games this fall.
You with Coach Odom at Missouri, we're all trying to get to know him. Tell us about him.
Well, I know Coach Odom even further than that. I hosted Coach Odom on his official visit to Oklahoma State.
Really?
Yeah, so we go way back. And we knew of each other in high school, but that's where we really became acquaintances and friends. And the number one thing I will tell you about Barry Odom is he is one of the most competitive people I've ever been around. His drive never stops. His attention to detail, all the things he sees. I'm amazed sometimes. I'm like, you saw that guy's shoes untied on the other. I'm just like, I didn't see. He was standing right behind me. So just his drive, attention to detail, his competitive spirit. He is going to drive, and he is going. He will not stop until we put ourselves in the very best possible position we can be in to win football games at Purdue.
Okay, appreciate your time, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Have a great year.
Yeah.
Not just the coaches that are new in West Lafayette. No team in the country has more incoming transfers than the Boilermakers. 51 in all. That transfer class started 126 FBS games last year. Only Indiana's incoming class in the Big Ten started more. The Boilers bring back just 42% of last year's production, the least in the Big Ten. Sorting through some of those new players as we take a look at the Purdue offense. And I guess big picture, before we get into personnel, schematically, what do you think this is going to look like after watching a scrimmage?
Well, I think it's a little complicated because of the quarterbacks. Now, Ryan Brown appears to be the better thrower. Malachi Singleton, to me, seems to be the better runner. So if that's true, sometimes the decision is who is better at the offhand. Now, as you mentioned off air, Ryan Brown has run a lot in games, so maybe he's the one that can do both. Maybe Malachi can't. But it's complicated until you figure out who your quarterback is.
I think one of the biggest things was this scrimmage that they had today was start to try to figure out who it's going to be. And I know they're not taking the quarterbacks to the ground, but as you start to look at what they're doing, whether it's a spread, 4 receivers, 5 receivers, move tight end, some of those different things, I think it ultimately comes down to, like in a lot of these cases, who can move the football team, who's going to take care of the football. Because this is going to be a process on the offensive side, and you cannot afford to turn the football over in critical situations.
Yeah, when you're building a team that Coach Odom's building, and there's a lot of building to be done, turnovers is just the last possible thing you want to do offensively. So maybe the answer to the original question about the quarterbacks is who turns it over the least.
And we saw a fair number of turnovers, frankly, in this scrimmage. Now, again, that could be a function of the defense looking good too. And Coach Odom actually came over and made that point at one point that, hey, how do you know, how do you judge? And again, that's something that film study would take care of. What about up front on the offensive line? They returned 0 starts from last year, so it feels like most of the team, a transfer-heavy unit.
Yeah, so you're trying to get this group to play as well as they can together, and you need these scrimmages, you need the practices to get them up to that point. But this is a team, to me, you don't want to end up in third and long situations. So they have a talented running back here in Mockobee that really makes a lot of plays. So they've got to find ways of opening up holes up front. And I think the tight ends will also be a big part of what they do.
There was 20 offensive linemen out there today practicing. They've got to find at least 7, maybe 8 that they feel comfortable with. When you're in this type of rebuild, I don't know that we've seen many bigger rebuilds than what we're talking about today. When you're in that type of rebuild, the line play is going to be the last one to come along. With the portal now, maybe you can help yourself a little faster. Traditionally, to build an offensive line, I mean, we were at Penn State. It's taken James like 12 years to have really 2 deep, really good offensive lines.
We saw some big plays today. Michael Jackson came up with a touchdown catch. Corey Smith. What do you think of the playmakers on the outside?
You know, I really like what Michael Jackson can bring to this team, and I think ends up being a 1-2 punch. But they're going to have to continue to spread the field, but they're also going to have to make sure that those contested catches on slant routes, comebacks, they have to win those battles, because that's going to be one of the ways to keep the chains moving, so you don't have to rely upon offensive line to hold up as long when you're going deep.
Right. Get the ball quick to him, real quick.
Yeah. All right. Going to be interesting to see how this group develops here this year, but fun to get a sneak preview here today. We are back in West Lafayette with Purdue preparing for a season-opening battle with in-state foe Ball State. Take a look at the schedule. They get SIU the week after. Both of those games are here on the Big Ten Network. They open conference play with USC here, then go to South Bend for their final non-conference game. In addition to that game against a playoff team from last year, they played 2 of the 4 Big Ten playoff teams in November, both at Ross-Ade, Ohio State, and Indiana. That game with the Hoosiers is on Black Friday this year. As we wrap things up here, guys, final thoughts on what we saw here today.
Yeah, I think this is a team that's going to have its struggles at times, but this is a team that's going to be led by a head coach and a coaching staff that I think is going to get the very most out of them. This is going to be a process that's going to take some time, but when you think about the way you can build teams now with the portal, they'll get it done. There's no question about it. Just regularly figures how quickly can it happen this year.
Yeah, major rebuild, maybe one of the toughest rebuilds that we've watched since we've been at the network. I thought the fact today that it was such a long scrimmage was really telling to what you just said, Howard. This is a veteran head coach in Coach Odom. When he said 4s on 4s, I said, oh, my goodness. I mean, how many people will we have out here? But you know what? He's got to do that because he's got to find 2 deep within that group. So I think it's really smart the way he's approached this. He's really patient about this. He's given a lot of people reps. If there was 1 or 2 people that play today with the 4th group that can help this team, it's going to be on video. And so I think that's just a short synopsis of what Coach Odom, the veteran, is going to do here.
I think that's an excellent point when you start to think about, because normally when you talk about guys that are on the 4th team or guys that are playing in that group, first of all, the numbers haven't previously been there, but they are now in this day and age. But it also keeps everybody engaged. You know that you could be a 4 today, and all of a sudden, because of what you put on film, you're a 2 or you're a 1. Nobody knows what happens. So each and every day, these guys have an opportunity to become starters.
And with unlimited coaches now, you know, you can coach a 4th team right guard by way of example.
That was a big thing that Coach Odom emphasized to me today when I talked to him, just the notion of getting as many players reps as they can. It's all part of getting better. And look, you just need proof of concept here in year 1, right? And the bar is fairly low from last year, but we're not that far removed from Purdue being a really good program. And as we talk about, they played the Big Ten championship game 3 years ago. So it is a place where clearly you can get it done. You have the proof of concept there, and now you need to show that as a staff you can get it done as well.
Right. So I think everything you do, X and O-wise, should be to beat the matchup opponents, the teams that have similar talent to yours or less talent than yours. I don't think you're trying to put together schemes where you're going to go back to the Big Ten championship game this year. But it has to go a little bit slower than that and beat the matchups.
It may have to go slower, but how about this? We've watched teams in the last couple of years throughout college football really be able to utilize the transfer portal and change the fortunes and the directions of your team. Yep. So if you have the right leadership in place, that gives you that chance to be able to make that move. That's why I keep going back to how quickly can you get your starting 22, and as you mentioned earlier, finding that depth, because we know now the way college football is played, you have to have depth.
That was a big point Josh Henson made to me. I was talking to him after he spoke with Gerry and saying just that. We just got to find the right guys here. We've got enough, he believes. Yeah. It's just putting the right people in the right spots to win some games. And that obviously the goal this year as they look to rebuild here at Purdue. Well, up next, we are heading to Iowa City. We will check in on the Hawkeyes. Kirk Ferentz's on the verge of becoming the winningest coach in Big Ten history. We'll get a chance to see what's going on there. Can they get the passing game going this year? Always have the defense in place. We'll see whether or not they can be a CFP dark horse. Thanks to everyone here at Purdue for a great visit. Adam Kuffner and his whole SID staff, they were tremendous. Learned a ton watching the Boilermakers here today. Cannot wait to see them in action here later this year, coming up later this month, in fact, against Ball State. We will see you in Iowa City. Thanks so much for watching us here on the Big Ten Network Football Tour.